Skye Squad, we are back in the building. Yes, we got to talk about Love and Marriage Huntsville. We got to talk about Belle Collective reunion, okay? I know y'all saw these shows. I know you saw them. Headline reads, Martell disrespects your girl Melody and calls her out her name. I don't know what kind of Father of the Year award he trying to get, but he ain't gonna get it with that, okay? The next thing we got to talk about is Belle Collective. Belle Collective, fresh new allegations come out. And listen, if I had known what was gonna happen in part 2 of this reunion, I definitely would have had some additional questions for Leticia Pearson as a result of hearing about Antoinette allegedly flirting with her man and allegedly flirting with Latrice's man. Okay, I know y'all got into that. It happened right at the end of the reunion. I was like, wait a minute, where did this come from? We had not heard these accusations at all. Okay, so this was brand spanking new to me. And I wish I had known before I did those interviews, because I would have asked those questions. And I might just have to get one of them back up in the room to ask the questions, because I really want to know, when did she flirt? What did she say to them? What was the feeling that she was giving, as she was kicking them out and she was putting them out? Was she rubbing on his back or something? That's what I want to know. Anyway, shout out to everybody who has joined the chatterization. Let me know where you guys are watching from. I'm running a little bit late today, but I just finished watching Love and Marriage Huntsville. And then me and Babe was having some real interesting discussions about what type of person exactly is Martell Holt. What type of man is he? What do we describe him as? Because in my mind, I feel like he might be, now this is just my opinion, he gives me sociopathic tendencies. You know what I'm saying? Very narcissistic-like tendencies. You know what I mean? But anyway, let me know where you guys are watching from. I see we got Germany in the house. We got Montreal. We got Poconos. We got GA in the building. Who else we got up in here? DC, Florida, Sunshine State, North Carolina, Pittsburgh, New Haven, Connecticut, DC up in here, Texas. Hey, Philly up in the house, California. I see y'all. Greensboro, North Kakalaki, Houston, Birmingham, Alabama, Dallas. We got all of our people up in the building today. Oh, and I think we had a super chat. Super chat coming in. Virgin Love, thank you for the super chat. Martell was straight disrespectful. What a butthole. Who raised him? Okay. It was so, ooh. Listen, we're going to get into Martell in a second. We got to talk about this Belle Collective reunion part 2 first. Let's go ahead and get into that. Now, y'all know how we do it up in here. What I want you to do in that good chatterization, okay, I'm going to need you to give me what you would rate the Belle Collective reunion part 2, okay, on a scale of the 1 to the 10. 1 to 10, give me what you got. And on a scale of 1 to 10, I'm going to have to give it a 9.5. I would have gave it a solid 10, but I'm gonna give it a 9.5, mostly because I feel like we was getting new stuff that we had never heard of yet again, and we got it right in the last 5 seconds. I was mad. I was like, okay, we get the clip. First of all, we get the clip come out. For me, I saw it late in the day, and I was like, wait, what? Antoinette allegedly flirting with the men's? When did this happen? How did it happen? What was the context? Latrice's man too? What? And it was even so bad that Latrice and Cliff, I think that's his name, right? His name Cliff? That's his name. They had to have a side conversation with Antoinette about it. I was like, what? But my thought was this. Thank you, D, for this super chat. D says Jacksonville, Florida, up into his naive. You're so handsome. And Martell is a narcissistic sociopath, according to D. Williams. Thank you, D, for that super chat. Listen, okay, Cliff is his name. I see somebody had put it up in that good chatterization. Listen, I was like, now, okay, let's dissect it, okay? This is what happened for those of you guys who didn't know. In part 2 of the reunion, they were joined by the husbands. We get the revelation. I had gotten it earlier because Leticia had alluded to it, but we had so much to cover. I didn't really get to dive into it. And I didn't know if she would be able to tell me exactly what it was, since we were going to be seeing it in the reunion part 2. So then when I interviewed Latrice mentioned it in the interview about there being another baby out there by the Glen. Okay. Now, again, I had this information when I interviewed Latrice. So when I edited the video, I was like, I wonder if she knows she said that. But then I was like, well, it's not going to come out until after part 2. So we fine, because y'all will have seen it by then. But so we get that revelation in the episode. And I'm like, no, wait a minute. Let's pull it back. This should have been discussed during the show, or did this happen after filming? Like, when was this? When did you get the information, the intel about the other baby, about the baby? That's what I want to know. Because for me, I felt like this should have been covered in this season. I would have rather heard about that than seeing the singer come out the closet. Okay, that was just me. Anyway, so I took away 0.5 because I felt like, again, we getting revelations that I feel like should have come in the season. We're getting them in the reunion. So now I feel like items like this need to be covered, okay, in season 2 in order for them to really pay off in the way that they were introduced during the reunion, okay? And for those of you guys who missed it, it was Lateshia who admitted that Glenn had another baby on the way. I want to know when it was. Was this before he was trying to introduce a contract, or was it afterwards? Okay, when was the baby being processed? Like, when was this going on? Okay, because I just feel like I got a lot of questions about that. And now I feel like I got to go back and ask. So, I mean, we may have to do a part 2 to the interview. I don't know. You know what I'm saying? We got a super chat in the room. And apparently, so it was, for those of you guys who are asking, it was Leticia's husband, Glenn, who apparently had another baby out there somewhere. But, okay, I see someone said this. Someone said, maybe she didn't want it out. Oh, yes. So that was the story. So that was the way it went. So apparently, putting it all together, you just hit the nail on the head. Tish P says maybe she didn't want it out there, but the blogger put it on blast, so she had to address it. So that's what Latrice was saying. She told Leticia about this news was coming out. So she told Leticia to go ahead and get on the ball with addressing it. But lo and behold, I do believe, I mean, Leticia seems to be very much an open book. So it would have just been nice to have seen some of this play out on the show. It's kind of like when we see, thank you so much, T, for the super chat. Thank you for the good tearization, Richie. It seems like this reveal reminded me of learning this past season that Ashley Darby and Michael Darby were having all of, the 3 ways when they've been on the show for 5 years. Granted, it's not the same time frame, but it is just like, no, wait a minute, hold on. Y'all should have told us this at some point in time, because this is, number 1, it's relatable. Number 2, somebody else out there got the same situation. Number 3, it don't seem like it's something that she's necessarily ashamed of. So for me, I'm like, I want to know why we didn't see this during the show. So anyway, that's why I took away 0.5. So that was the one big revelation that we got during the episode. We also got another really interesting tidbit. So apparently, according to Kaylon, okay, so Kaylon is the white girl on the show. So Kaylon has said that she was reaching out to the blogger to get more information. So that's why she was allegedly reaching out to folks trying to find out information on Marie, because she thought that Marie was going to be coming for her. Okay. So in my mind, this is all I'm thinking about this whole situation is this. Now, listen, if Kaylon gonna step up and she gonna step to the plate and admit to it, okay, girl, I got you. But my thing is this. What did you think that she was going to find? If you thought that she was going to be coming after you, what was she going to find? Was she going to be digging up some information from your past? Like, what was it? Because at the end of the day, it didn't seem like Marie was that much focused on Kaylon at all. except for the times that they actually interacted. And when she did call out Kaylon, I felt like it was kind of deserved to a certain degree. Now, she didn't have to go off on that lady at that lady brunch like that. But at the end of the day, I felt like, somebody needed to wrangle in the girls to get the conversation directed back towards Leticia and what she brought them there for. You know what I'm saying? So I kind of felt like when they went at it, that they definitely butted heads, but it wasn't nothing that nobody needed to go try to dig up information on somebody about. I just didn't get that. It just didn't seem that deep to me for all that to be happening. But I don't know. I'm only going on what we see on the show on the surface. I don't really get into a lot of what they're doing outside of this, except for things that I feel like would be valuable for us to know in the show, like the fact that Glenn had another baby out there. You know what I mean? So that's that. That's the second thing that we got from this episode. The other thing that we got from this episode, we got Essie came out on this episode. Now, Essie, in the trailers, we was being led to believe that when Egypt had asked Essie about the two of them being soulmates, the way the clip was cut, it was made to seem like, when it was asked, either do you have more feelings for Marie? What is that going to be like? And in the clip, we were kind of led to believe like she was going to be professing her undying love for this woman. And all it turned out to be was what we had already said. They believe they soulmates and they best friends. That's it. Marie got a whole husband at home, and that's all on that. Now, bringing it back around to the man that Marie is actually with or not with, it looks like they trying to get away from each other, but Marie did let us know that she was dating a little something. She got a little tenderoni on the side or something like that. You know what I mean? So she's not really worried about that man, but I feel like he trying to work his way back up in there. I don't know about y'all, but that's what I felt like. I felt like he was trying to work his way back up into that good Marie's bed, okay? But she had already kicked him out. Anyway, and side note, did he ever get that house finished? Was the house finished? Because when she dropped off his clothes, the house wasn't even built yet. It was like that. It was a half-built house. So is he living there? What was he living at? Why she didn't drop it off at his real address? That's what I want to know. These are questions of mine. I just got questions. So anyway, here's the thing. Okay, this man, I feel like he ain't really the type of man that you want to be with, right? As a woman, I feel like, and even as a man, he ain't the type of man that any ladies, let me warn you out there, okay? This is not the type of man that I feel like you wants to find yourself with. He seemed like he lacking a backbone in some way, shape, or form. Like he lacking some type of internal strength. It's something that's missing in this man that's not allowing him to be the type of man that I feel like somebody could rely on and be there for in the heat of the night when you're going through the dark hours. You know what I'm saying? Marie is sitting here suffering, I believe it's from lupus. So you suffering from lupus. So she's suffering from lupus. He off into Paris with some other doctor friend of his. Like, what in the Sam Hill is going on down to the Jackson? That don't make no type of sense to me. I don't understand why she would even consider staying with him. And they only been married for about 4 years at this point. So I feel like, girl, count your blessings and count yourself lucky that he left and went to Paris when he did. Now you ain't got to keep dealing with him and his unfinished house. Okay. We had a super chat. I'm about to find it. Lala Chanel, thank you, love, for the super chat. She says, thank you for this good content on a Sunday. We going up on this good Sunday, okay? Yeah, and he seemed just real like out of it. And when Egypt is asking him questions, he can barely get the answers out. The folks on the stage laughing at him. I don't know. It just seemed real hard to take this man seriously. And quiet as kept, he's probably not a bad guy. I just don't feel like he is the type of man that you kind of want to raise a family with. He don't really give me those types of vibes. And then Egypt gonna ask if the man are like other men. I was like, now where did this come from? Not one time in this conversation that I feel like this man was of the gay persuasion. I did not get that impression from him. Now, I mean, listen, maybe I missed something, and maybe this was something that floating out there and, in the world, in the streets, but I had no idea about it. And I was kind of curious as to why she would even be asking him this question. And when she asked the question, the camera pans to Maria. She's like, well, answer it. Like, almost like she was like, well, I don't know either. Okay, so that didn't make no sense to me. I just didn't understand it. I was kind of like, what are we talking about out here? What's going on? What is really happening here? It was confusing to me. Okay. Anyway, so we got that. Now, the other thing that we got that I found quite interesting. Okay, because this was again. This was what was interesting to me. All of a sudden, we good and about to end the reunion and whatnot. I'm thinking to myself, oh, it's been a long day. Next thing you know, here comes Leticia talking about how she don't trust Antoinette because Antoinette was flirting with her man and Antoinette was flirting with that good Cliff. I was like, now, why didn't y'all bring this up earlier in the day? I mean, now we got 5 seconds left for her to try to clear this up. And basically, Antoinette is looking like a deer caught in headlights. But lo and behold, we find out Latrice and her man that had a whole conversation with this girl about if she was flirting or not. So apparently they cleared it up and they all good now. But to me, Egypt, I would have had to stop the show and been like, bring Cliff and Glenn back out here. Bring them back out. I know they're still in the building. Bring them out now. Carlos, bring them men out here. That's what because in my mind, I'm like this. How are we going to have this conversation and really have it honestly and not have the men there to share their perspective on whether or not they thought that this woman was flirting with them? You know what I'm saying? So now it's left up to third parties to gauge whether or not they thought that that she was flirting with their man. Okay. So basically what happened, for those of you guys who may have missed it, it was the night of the Mint Dental opening, or the soft opening. You know what I'm saying? And so afterwards, Antoinette does not drink Hennessy. She made that clear, but she know that Glenn do. So she handed him the Hennessy and she was trying to clean up the place and she was trying to usher them out. And she had told Leticia, y'all go home and make some babies or something like that. Now, some kind of way, there was a flirtation or relation that happened up in that situation. Now, I didn't really understand where the flirt came from, but it was strong enough for Cliff to have felt it whenever he felt it too. This is why I say Egypt should have had the men come right back out onto that stage, because at the end of the day, they could have gave us some clarifying information as to whether or not they felt that she was actually doing some flirting. Okay, that's how I feel like if you're going to really talk about it, we got to hold on. This is good. We got to stop this. And we got to really talk about whether or not there was some flirting action happening here. So to me, I just didn't understand it because I was like, this is such new information for us to be getting so late in the game. You know what I mean? I don't know. To me, I felt like, and I got to be real, I don't know. And to me, I don't know. Did Glenn tell Leticia that, Antoinette had been flirting with him? I just asked because, you got to ask that question, because if he has a history of, kind of not of being a little unfaithful, then is he a reliable witness? And I'm not being shady, but I think that's a fair question. So that's just why I say it would have been good to know his thoughts and perspective on it. Bottom line. The other thing that we found out about that in that situation is this. Apparently, Leticia feels like Latrice is a different person when she gets around Antoinette. So they both said this about each other. And so I do believe that they want to be friends. In both interviews, they both spoke highly of each other. So I believe that there's a real opportunity for Leticia and Latrice to actually be really, really good friends. But for some reason, there's this element of disdain for Antoinette amongst the other ladies on the couch, that being Leticia, Marie, and it almost seems to extend to Tambra. And I cannot understand why. And part of me cannot understand it is because do they just feel like this is a little pretty young tenderoni on the block and I need to watch my man with her? What is it that they're feeling in that moment with regards to her? Or what is she giving off that makes her seem so untrustworthy to the other group of women? I cannot understand what that is. Or is it that maybe Latrice is subconsciously a little bit different with Antoinette because she doesn't feel the same need to keep her guard up with Antoinette as she does with the other ladies? Or option C is that Leticia is right and she does seem different. Okay. It's all in perspective. So who really knows what that situation is? What I will say, and to end the note on it is at this point, is that I would say that season 2 needs to commence filming probably in about late April or May. Let's get these feelings while they're fresh so they can be hashed out so that we can be watching season 2 come October. Okay. That'll give them 4 months of filming and a couple of months to edit. That's all you need, Carlos. Let's get this thing popping for season 2. Now, anyway, Tracy Chappell says, maybe Antoinette gets flirty when she's drinking, but maybe it's not sexual. Cliff felt it and Latrice felt the need to ask her. So obviously there is something there. She has a pattern of behavior that maybe she is not consciously aware of, or either she is consciously aware of it and maybe it manifests itself when she is drinking. So there is that. I see a lot of people commenting. This seems to be a common conception, or at least common perception of Antoinette, is that she seems fake. I see a lot of you guys posting that. Okay. So let's do a little bit of a left turn and head on into Huntsville. Okay. Let's head on up the street to Huntsville, Alabama. And we got the season finale of Love and Marriage Huntsville. And if you watch Love and Marriage Huntsville, I'm going to need to know what you will rate this episode on a scale of 1 to 10. Give me a scale of 1 to 10. Now, wait a minute. Wait a doggone minute. I could have swore I saw one of y'all say in this chat that there is an allegation out there that Martell has another baby on the way. Okay, is that what I read in somebody's comment? Is that true? I don't know if I haven't seen that, but if you know it to be true, comment in the chatterization where you found that information at. That's definitely crazy. But I'm gonna give it a 10. I'm gonna give it a solid 10 because I do feel like, Love and Marriage Huntsville is an interesting show to me. That I feel like it never disappoints me. It almost feels like, it just never disappoints me. So it's easy to give that show a 10 because I really don't have, there's nothing I'm ever looking for. I'm always satisfied when I leave that show. Always satisfied when I leave that show. And again, let me just say this. I saw a comment in the chat saying that there was an allegation that he had another girl, a baby on the way. I do not know if that's true. This is not confirmed. So I'm not going to, go anywhere beyond that. I haven't done any research on it. So if I do and I find some information out there, then we'll discuss it. But I haven't seen it for myself. What we do know is in this episode, we get a lot of interesting things happening. We get the opening of Blaque. We get Martell going to visit his therapist or counselor or somebody like that who can hopefully tell him to his face what he is doing wrong. Now, to me, the therapist spends most of his time trying to reassure Martell that Martell is a good guy, okay? He's telling Martell, well, you had a baby coming on the way. That doesn't make you a bad guy. Don't let anybody make you feel bad about it. It was just a real interesting, scenario with the counselor. I was like, counselor, I'm going to need you to give the real to Martell. I'm going to need you to tell him, what's really going on. Brother, take a look at your actions and what you're doing. You are the one that is messing up your life. You need to start learning how to take accountability for what you have done and figuring out ways to fix it and make it better. It seems to me like they never spent any time in these counseling sessions on helping Martell better co-parent with Melody, because that to me seems to be the real issue here. How do I exist in the same space with my now ex-wife? Because as we know, the divorce is finalized. So how do we exist in the same space? How do we coexist and me not feel the need to try to be petty with her in order for us to be able to do this thing the right way? Because up until this point, I have not treated her the best. I have done my dirt on the side. I am the reason why we are in this situation. And I'm now in love with the woman that I'm having the baby with, which is Ariana, who he asked for a DNA test for the baby for. That's the other thing. So you tell the therapist, you are in love with the oranges that you was picking on the side. That would be Ariana. So you are in love with her. And now you are asking her to have a DNA test because you don't trust that she has been faithful to you, because you have been at home trying to keep your family together. Make it make sense for me. Make it make sense for me in some way, shape, or form. And she's offended by this. I don't know why. I don't know what makes her think that if he is able to cheat on his wife of 13 years, what makes you think that whatever you're doing is going to satisfy his insatiable needs for some sloppy toppy? Okay, because that I mean that seems like what it boils down to. This man wants some sloppy toppy, and you are willing to give it to him. But what happens when he starts wanting it twice a day? Okay, and then what happens when he starts wanting it 3 times a day? Girl, you're gonna be doing that 3 times a day. You ain't gonna be able to do that because now you got a baby on the way. You got to take care of a baby, so you're not gonna be able to satisfy this man's every needs like he wants. This man is going to continue to want and want and want and want and want and want because he is lacking in something in himself, okay? He is lacking in something on the inside, so he will never be satisfied by any of the women in his life. I saw a super chat. Sorry, I'm just trying to scroll up. Thank you for the super chat. It says Richie Martell doesn't have respect for his family or Ariana. He doesn't have respect for himself to only respect sex. That's his main goal. You know, I feel like there is something in him that there is a void there, and he keeps trying to fill it up with seemingly these different women. You know, now it's, you know, another child out there with the Ariana with lady, you know, and she's on the phone just lapping it up. I mean, you have always done right by me. Well, except when he calls you a peasant. Okay. What? I can't understand it. I can't understand it at all. So anyway, we're going to move on. We're going to get to the Blaque grand opening. And we saw Melody taking some photos of the children, you know, in some traditional African garb. This is a nice little scene. You know, we have Blaque is doing the grand opening. So they're doing that there. It's a cigar bar. I'm not really into cigars or anything like that. So I feel like smoke tends to just affect my allergies. You know what I'm saying? My registration on the inside and stuff like that. So I can't really be around the smoke like that. But congrats to them for getting that open and leaving a legacy. And why didn't they put the sister up there? Was the sister not in the photo on the mural outside? Because I just when I was like, Marceau is the dude this season, and then I looked and Destiny was like, well, why the baby girl ain't up there? Why the sister not on the mural? And doggone it, she was not on the mural. I said, well, they didn't erased her from the legacy. What? Like, I mean, I get it. It's a cigar bar, so it has more of a masculine quality to it. And I get that it makes sense. And maybe she's not involved in the investment, but still, there is no way if I'm doing something and I'm talking about leaving a legacy and you got her standing up there on the side, like, why wouldn't you put her up on the photo? I just ain't like that. That was real weird to me. That was something I picked up. Anyway, We get Lateshia apologizing to Mel for the umpteenth time, and I just kind of feel like I get why Lateshia is not as trustful of Melody. And I also get why Melody is amused by Letitia's new attempt to smooth things over. Because at the end of the day, it's just like something that Marceau said. Marceau said, the proof is in the actions, not in the apology. So you can accept the apology, but I'm still waiting on this changed behavior. I just want to see in this comment section, do you guys foresee changed behavior for Melody and Lateshia moving forward? Do you see changed behavior from Melody and Lateshia moving forward? Give me a yes or a no in the chatterization. I just want to know what you think. I want to know what you think, because in my mind, these two women will always be the frenemies on this show. They will be the Nene and the Kim on this show. You know what I'm saying? They will be the Karen and the Giselle on this show. Okay, there's always the two that just can't ever get it together, no matter how many times they apologize. And I see y'all commenting. Everybody got a different opinion, but I'm starting to see a lot of no's. And you know what? I kind of don't believe it either. I have hope. You know what I'm saying? But I just don't know. You know what I mean? But it was nice that the ladies were able to come together in the end of this episode. I did appreciate that. Like, I 100% appreciated that. That to me was like really, that was awesome. So I want to kind of like get into, the real deal. Holyfield was when Melody showed up. She shows up with her brother Marcus. Okay, Marcus from the ATL. And so they go off and Marcus wants to have a conversation with Martell. So Marcus and Martell head off into the front porch area or whatever, or wherever they was outside. Okay. They have a conversation. What Marcus really wants to know is, do you feel some type of way about your kids being around me because I am gay and I am married to another man? That is what he wanted to really ask him. Okay. And so Martell says, yes, I don't want my kids to I want my kids to have a foundation of seeing a man and a woman together. Yep. That's what I want. Okay. So that was the real gist of that conversation. To break it down for those who might have missed it, that's what they talked about. At that point, Melody walks up and Melody's, and so Melody's like, what y'all talking about? So Marcus relays, well, Martell wants to make it clear that the kids should have a foundation of a man and a woman to be together. And so Melody says, well, that's what they have. Or is it that's what they had? Because now, as she points out, the foundation that Martell is giving them is that a man and a woman can be together, and also that man can be with other women and have other babies. Okay, so that's the foundation for which he is fighting for. Okay, so to me, I'm like, okay, this is interesting. Let's see how this about to go, because it was interesting to me that they had ushered Marcus out the scene at this point in order for Melody and Martell to have the final act. You know what I'm saying? So to me, the situation, I was hopeful. I was rooting for Martell, because finally I started to feel like, as he was having his dialogue with Melody about where they were, and she's talking about the breakdown of their relationship, I'm feeling in my spirit, I'm like, oh, Martell, he's about to give the apology that we have all wanted all season long, that we have been just hoping that we would get from him. We was hoping that he was going to own his ish. We was hoping that he was going to do the doggone thing and finally do right by this woman. And just when we thought that he was about to step over to the ledge and come over to the bright side, what do you know? He walks back over to the dark side. He gets to insulting her, talking about how, I know this man did not call her, he called her a hoe. How would you call the mother of your kids a hoe, but then in the same breath talk about what an amazing father you are? And to me, you cannot talk about what an amazing father you are if you are not setting an amazing example for your kids. Now, is that the example that you want to set for them, by calling the mother of your kids a hoe on national television? Is that what you want to do? You can't be serious about that, bro. You can't be serious about that. You can supply for your kids monetarily, but at the end of the day, the kids also need to see an example being set for how to interact in grown relationships. relationships. And if you can't provide them with that great example, then I don't think that you should be vying for Father of the Year anymore. I think that time is done. I think that the ship has sailed, and I think that you should just let that go. Okay, that's what I think. Now, you might be a great provider for your kids, but I just feel like for you to claim that you would just, your kids are the center of your universe. They are not, okay? They're not. Because if they were, you would in some way, shape, or form want to cover and protect this woman, even though you guys are not together, and you would want to make sure that she was set up for her future, because that is where your kids will, at some point in time, half of their time, that is where they're going to reside. So it would seem in my mind like you would want to make sure that the woman that is going to be caring for them during the time when you're not with them is going to be set for life, and she's going to feel amazing, even if you are not the one that is going to be making her felt like that. So the scene ends with Martell walking off. We find out that at the point in time that this was filmed, he did not even have an attorney to be able to handle and to sign the documentation that he needs to sign in order for this divorce to go through. All she wants this man to do is sign the papers. So the ladies join, Melody outside on the front porch. And, my first question is, when Destiny comes out, where is LeBaric? Of course, he is ausente. He is not there. We haven't seen him. He's not even at the event. Where is he? Pray tell. Okay. That's what I want to know. No shade, like her, love her, but I want to see what girl, this is Love and Marriage. Where is the partner in your marriage? So, Tisha comes out, Kimmy comes. I love me some Kimmy. They come out and they're real supportive. It is nice to see this moment right here. And listen, and I go off on Martell because, he's a brother who is going to be raising 5, what I'm sure will be beautiful kids. I just want this man to do better. And I understand that there's a part of this that is the reality show part of it, where there has to be some type of conflict. But I think that there has to be a certain place that as a father, you just are not going to be, you just can't go there. And I just want him to do better. I believe in this man. I believe he can do better. I believe he's helped build businesses, with Melody. And I believe that he can do that again for himself. But he's going to need to start taking a different path if he wants a different outcome. And that's just the truth of the matter. And I feel like at the end of the day, the kids are going to need to see him treating mommy with respect. Thank you for the super chat. Demeter Joe says he's a narcissist to the 10th degree, and what goes around will come back around. Thank you for that. And yeah, I didn't like that at all. I didn't like him calling out her name like that. That was just, and I feel like, there have been times this season when I felt like Melody has fallen victim to his antics. And it was good to see that she remained, for the most part, composed in this episode, and she didn't lose it. She didn't run, she wasn't screaming at the top of her lungs at him. She remained in control, and I really respected that. I also saw her interview with Funky Dineva, and I have to tell you guys, it was so good. And it gave me a lot of extra context to a lot of things that we, didn't maybe know about the relationship, or we all kind of been side-eyeing. He asked the questions that I felt like we wanted to know, and I found like I really get a lot of clarity, and I have a lot of respect for her as well. And I love her single. Love her single. Now, with that being said, we left the season on a great note with all of the ladies. Leticia has apologized to Melody. They seem like they're in a good place. She's supportive of Melody, in this moment. I like that. I like seeing the ladies come together like this. We also saw the other lady whose house that Mel tore up when she had thrown that glass at Martell. I wouldn't have even been friends with them people no more for inviting me over there for that setup like that. But it is what it is. Thank you for the super chat. Qatar says the man is self-absorbed, and if you ask me, he has low self-esteem. He defines himself by his sexual behavior. Yeah, so I think this show is so good for a lot of us because we can all recognize a lot of these patterns of behaviors, and that is something that we, as at our core, as people, we all want great relationships. We all have been in bad relationships. We in some way, shape, or form. Many of us will be married or have been married at some point, or probably are married now. So I think that that is the reason why this show is so successful. And in some relationships, somebody will always be the hero and someone will be the villain at some point. But it's really important to note how you handle yourself when you are faced with these situations and how you move forward. And at the end of the day, the knowledge has to be that the children have to come first. And whatever may and at some point in time impact the children is something that you also have to be really considerate of, because at some point in time, those kids are going to see the way daddy treated mommy, and that is going to affect them. So I think you would always want to show that at the end of the day, mommy and daddy, they did not work out, but we still treated each other with respect and with kindness, because that is how you successfully separate. And I know that's hard. And I know it's probably easier said than done. But, the kids have to be the first priority because they didn't ask to be brought into this world. I'm excited for season 3. Melody did hint that there would be a season 3 when she did her interview with Funky Dineva. So that was good. No telling when we'll get it. It will probably be sometimes toward the end of the year, as I can see. Next week, we're going to get sort of a behind the scenes sort of secrets revealed episode. I'm going to be watching that. I don't know if we're going to be getting a reunion. I would hope we're going to get a reunion because I feel like we need one. We need some clarity. We need some clear ups. I would like to see a little bit more of Kimmy and Maurice next season, because I didn't really feel like we got a lot of them this season. But I guess because the drama was so heavy between Melody and Martell, that's the reason why we got so much of them. And I would like to see a little bit more of Miss Wanda next season, because she's fun and she's feisty and she really brings out this other fun side of Marceau that, whether he likes it or not, we love it. You know what I mean? So I want to see that. But yeah, guys, that's the shows for today. I mean, I get really passionate about these 2 shows because I feel like I want them to do really well. And regardless of whether or not I feel like any person on these shows are wrong or right, I care about them all, and I care about them enough to want the best for them, So if I am going off, it's not because I'm trying to be nasty or messy. That's not my intent. My intent is just that these people should do better. Thank you for the super chat. Grace Greenleaf says Marcus should have checked him for calling his sister out of her name and telling her to shut the F up on camera and in public. Straight disrespectful and uncalled for. He's a sociopath. So yeah. All right, guys. So that is Love and Marriage Huntsville season finale and the Belle Collective reunion part 2. Tomorrow we'll be back and we'll be discussing Real Housewives of Atlanta. The latest episode comes out tonight at 8 p.m. And then we're going to be discussing Married to Medicine tomorrow as well. That comes on at 9 o'clock. So we got a busy next couple of days. Make sure you guys subscribe to the channel, hit that notification button. I thank you so much for, chatting with me today. I really, really appreciate you. And we will catch you guys in the next video.